All right. Rob Schmitt Tonight starts right now. Good evening. I'm Lidia Curanaj. Rob has the night off. Breaking this evening, the rescheduled White House Correspondents' dinner is happening right now at the Waldorf Astoria in the nation's capital. President Trump is set to deliver remarks around 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Newsmax will show you that in its entirety. Plus, we'll have a live report from the dinner with White House correspondent Mike Carter coming your way. Now, if you recall, the originally scheduled Correspondents' dinner was in April. It was done before it ever even started after a crazed gunman sprinted through a security checkpoint. He was carrying a rifle. He is now accused of trying to assassinate President Trump. Again, keep it right here on Newsmax for continued coverage of the White House Correspondents' dinner throughout the evening. But first, I've been a journalist for many, many years, and I can tell you this. It has never been more difficult to find the truth than it is now. Not because there's like a lack of information, but because we're drowning in narratives, wading through the headlines that tell you what to think before you ever even see the facts. Everywhere you look online, if you're trying to find out the truth, far right this, far right that, the label far right has now become so overused that it's almost lost all of its meaning. And then you start digging deeper. You discover that many of the people being described as far right are actually normal people like you and me, who believe in secure borders, legal immigration, and law and order. People like Elon Musk, who had a sit-down interview with The Economist.
You support not just the populist right, but the far right, in fact, very fringe parties in some countries.
No, I support the normal people.
Okay.
What do you call the far right? Falsely.
You think is the normal person? Okay.
Yes. Literally, you could go back 10 or 15 years, and these policies were completely normal.
Musk is not wrong. Here was then Senator Barack Obama on the presidential debate stage back in 2008.
We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem. And the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. And so what we have to do is create a comprehensive solution to the problem. Now, I have already stated that as president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need.
They called him the deporter-in-chief, right? Now, I guarantee you, if you took the script from what Obama just said there, what Hillary has also said in the past about immigration, Bill Clinton, Chuck Schumer, remember he said, call them illegal aliens, and then you showed people on the street that script today, they would say that's from President Trump, he's a Nazi, he's a racist, because it's almost hard to believe that once upon a time, Democrats were normal too. And now this has become the new norm. The NYPD, they just arrested a man who eyewitnesses say yelled Allah Akbar when he stabbed a Jewish man in the chest and an Asian man in the back with a screwdriver near Central Park yesterday afternoon. The suspect is now facing hate crime charges. Jewish leaders placing the blame squarely on New York City's mayor.
Mayor Mamdani, stop fanning the flames of hatred and division. The consequences are not abstract. They're playing out on our streets.
The back-to-back stabbings happening less than 24 hours after Mamdani reaffirmed his view that Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu should be arrested if he steps foot in New York City. Now, Mamdani, he doesn't have the legal authority to arrest Bibi, but being anti-Israel now scores you points in the Democrat Party. That's all this is. Thankfully, though, there are still some good journalists out there. Listen to this.
If circumstances were different, would you have vowed to arrest the leaders of Hamas who perpetrated the October 7th attack if they were visiting New York?
Okay, so a normal person would have said, of course I'd arrest the Hamas terrorists. After all, during the October 7th massacre, babies were baked in ovens, women were raped and tortured. Yet Here's how Marxist Mamdani answered that question.
It is from a universal politics that I can look on October 7th and describe it for what it is, which is a horrific war crime. And I can also look at Benjamin Netanyahu and see the way that he has orchestrated this genocide and also deem him to similarly be a war criminal.
So he didn't answer the question. He pivoted back to Netanyahu. I mean, are we surprised? Let's remind everyone of this clip that doesn't get enough attention.
It is a privilege to be here with you once again. I stand before you as the first Muslim mayor in our city's history, and this year as the first Jummah that I have attended in that new position.
Okay, so nothing wrong with what Mamdani said when he visited that Queen's Mosque back in February. But listen to what the imam, the religious leader, said in song shortly thereafter.
والفرج فيه للمؤمنين على يديك وقتل الكافرين بسيفك.
So let me translate that for you. Through your hands comes the relief for believers and the killing of the infidels by your sword. So basically, kill all non-believers. So what did our illustrious mayor do? Did he stand up outraged and did he walk out? Did the mayor publicly condemn the imam for singing such a horrible thing? No, no, no. And this, folks, is just one of the many examples of how the media fools the public by not reporting what's actually going on.
You have painted, and because you have so many followers, so many Americans believe it, a kind of view that Europe and the UK are kind of, overrun with terrifying Muslim immigrants. There's rape on every corner. There's a sort of civilizational destruction.
I haven't said any of those things. If you have a large and rapidly growing group of people whose beliefs are antithetical to Western beliefs, at some point there will be a reckoning.
Did you see how indignant she is? So smug, like, what do you know? You're just a trillionaire. You're just the richest guy. I mean, did she forget about this UK report about rape, grooming gangs, an estimated 250,000 victims? I have worked in newsrooms, again, for a very long time, and I've met some of the finest journalists in the country, many of them in this building right here. But I've also met far too many who see their job not as informing the public, but as educating them. When journalists start believing that they are the arbiters of truth rather than the seekers of it, they stop doing journalism and start doing activism. And normal people can tell the difference.
Here are the principles, and tell me which of these sound terrible. That we should have secure borders, that we should have safe cities, that we should have sensible spending. Which of those three are far-right fringe?
No,
and I would like to just admonish you and the media for the absurd characterization of the far right. Maybe some people do loathe me, and that's probably true. I don't care. But the fact that, as you pointed out, 250 million people follow me is that I think a lot more people actually like me than don't. And I think a lot more people hate you and the media more than you realize. And
that's what you call a mic drop. Joining us now, Jack Posobiec. He's a Turning Point USA contributor. Also with us, Julian Epstein, Democratic consultant and former Democratic House Judiciary Committee chief counsel. Jack, what do you think? Mamdani stabbing, the rhetoric, it's a mess.
Well, it is. And though, I think Elon's response there was pretty spot on. I mean, he was talking about the fact that the way social media, at least under Elon, exists is you can follow, you can unfollow, you can block, you can mute, you could do whatever you want. But this isn't about censorship. And if people have chosen to follow him for whatever reason, then there probably is point to what he's saying, as opposed to folks like The Economist. And we know that trust in the mainstream media is at an all-time low because they've lied about things like wokeness. They've lied about things like the rise of radical Islam. They've lied about things like mass migration and so many others that I could think of over the years. That you just played the clip of Barack Obama when he was first running, saying that he was against mass illegal immigration. This is Barack Obama we're talking about here. This is not exactly a guy who as Elon would point out, is on the far right. And so I think what he's saying totally holds up. And I think that the way that we discuss these issues in public absolutely needs to reflect that. And that's been a huge problem with the mainstream media. It's a blind spot.
It certainly is. And Julian, the woman who interviewed Elon, the Economist editor-in-chief, Zanny Minton, you could tell that she seemed kind of like this, she seemed kind of, almost like as an elitist, like above it all, like she knew more than Elon. What did you make of her trying to school Elon?
Well, I think she was outwitted by Elon, and I think you've seen that a lot when journalists try to take Musk on. I think they end up getting the losing end of that deal. But I think she's typical, particularly of the European and the global left media. There's a lot of pearl clutching, but this is the same media that sort of has been the BBC, for example, who regularly takes Hamas propaganda and reports it as real and then finds out later that it's false but doesn't correct the story. This is the same news media that ignored the 250,000 women who were victims of the groomer gangs. This is the same news media that refuses to deal with, I think, the threat that we face, the existential threat that we face, which is a big part of the left now affiliates itself ideologically or ideologically supports many of the terrorist groups, Hamas, Hezbollah, and they at least give cover to them. Zoran Mamdani being sort of the prime example of the far left sort of not only giving cover to the ideological ideas of Hamas and Hezbollah, but actually fomenting anti-Semitism with his blood libels against Israel. I think the news media, if you want to be charitable, you could say is very naive about the nature of the threat that we face. If you want to be less charitable, you can say it is struggling to gain relevance by holding on to very extremist viewers that are gaining currency in this internet, this internet culture. That is giving a lot of airtime, a lot of credibility to extremist views, including views that are aligned with terrorist groups in the Mideast.
It's incredible. And Jack, before I let you go, we've got a minute left. What do you expect to hear from President Trump tonight at the Correspondents' Dinner, which is going on live as we speak? And of course, Newsmax will bring it to you in its entirety. I expect a lot of laughs by President Trump. He's going to flame the media. What do you think? And there's Hegseth right there, live look, Secretary of War.
Yeah, we see him right there. Well, I think we are going to hear that. I think I see Stephen Miller as well. And we're going to hear about that, of course, that relationship that he's had, the caustic relationship, the back and forth. But one thing that I certainly expect that we'll hear from the president is some discussion about far left terrorism and the fact that this event had to be rescheduled because of a shooting that took place and yet another attempted assassination attempt of the president of the United States. And by the way, potentially every single person that was in that room. That's why the vice president is not there. The first lady is not there this time around. And that's something, again, in with all of this violence that we're talking about, that the far left is supporting, that this very event had to be rescheduled because of that. And yet the mainstream media is more interested in trying to go after Elon Musk because of who he follows on Twitter, as opposed to people that are actually picking up guns.
Jack Posobiec, Julian Epstein, thank you both.
Thank you.
President Trump is set to roast the press at the most heavily guarded event right now in Washington, D.C. You're taking a live look right there. We'll have a live report coming your way.
A Social Security update. Millions collect Social Security, but 70% of Americans don't get their full benefits. Now, a new report shows how to boost your Social Security by as much as $188,000. Author Matthew Allen reveals 5 key strategies in a new report. Newsmax calls it the best guide for retirees. Everyone needs this free Social Security report. Act today to get your full benefits.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. With Ethos, it's so fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage.
Check your price today at ethos.com. Hi, I'm Arthur Lee, inventor of LifeVac. This year, we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of saving our first life. Since then, we've helped save over 6,000 lives, with over 4,000 of those being children. This FDA-authorized device can help prevent choking deaths with a simple place, push, and pull. It's built to last a lifetime, so please, protect your family and put a LifeVac in your home today.
Go to lifevac.net or call 877-543-3822.
How easy is it to order lottery tickets with Jackpocket? Step 1, grab your phone. Step 2, download Jackpocket and order tickets for your favorite state lottery games. Step 3, let the good times roll.
New Jackpocket customers get $10 instantly in lottery credits when you deposit just $5.
Home inspectors, contractors, roofers. All kinds of pros recommend Leaf Filter. Why? Topped by stainless steel micro mesh, Leaf Filter is engineered for protection. In testing, Leaf Filter handles double the water volume of common hood-style guards without overflow. Our product design is driven by relentless innovation, ensuring optimal performance even in the toughest storms. And we back it all with a lifetime clog-free guarantee.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or visit leaffilter.com.
President Trump set to take the stage at the rescheduled Correspondents' dinner in little over an hour from now. The White House stating that Trump will be delivering a unifying but entertaining speech. Oh, there you're taking a live look there with President Trump there, shaking hands. I believe that's the beautiful Caroline Leavitt. And there he is, shaking hands with everyone there.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Joint
All right,
Armed
President
Forces
Trump, and we'll be checking in momentarily with the president there. He just arrived at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Very heavily guarded event right now happening in D.C., rescheduled from April. As we know, the biggest security threat that happens, a man trying to rush the dinner with a gun. White House correspondent Mike Carter live for us there with more. Mike.
Yeah, Lydia, good to be with you. Good evening. A much more toned down White House Correspondents' Dinner this evening than what we saw in April. Back in April, you had about 2,500 guests. Tonight, less than 700. And we're on Pennsylvania Avenue right now, just outside of the Waldorf Astoria. Used to be the Trump Hotel here in D.C. from 2016 to 2022. But we're just down the street from the White House, and it is as quiet on this street as anywhere in Washington this evening. Just a couple of protesters, and I mean a couple, maybe two or three. They're a couple blocks away, but security very tight tonight. All of the road closed around the Waldorf Astoria tonight. Unlike back in April, Lydia, where you just needed a paper ticket with no QR code or not even a name on it. Tonight, folks who are in the White House Correspondents Association were emailed tickets with QR codes, and we are expecting a much tighter security apparatus tonight. As for the president's speech tonight, White House says this will be a unifying speech, but you had about 500 journalists this week write to the White House Correspondents Association asking for them to come down hard on President Trump over several issues, saying that he is oppressing freedom of speech, like what we saw with the New York Times back earlier this month, going after the New York Times. The Justice Department was. They eventually dropped their subpoenas against the New York Times because the Times had written about Air Force One, the old Air Force One leaving Turkey and not the new one. So a lot of issues tonight to discuss for sure for President Trump. We'll see what happens here in about an hour from now.
Mike Carter, thank you so much. So definitely a lot tighter security. Jonathan Gilliam joins us now, former FBI agent. Also with us, Charles Marino, former Secret Service agent. Charles, I remember being on the air with you, right? During the last Correspondents' Dinner, when that crazed man tried to get past security at the originally scheduled Correspondents' Dinner, again, back in April. You're taking a live look there at the new Correspondents' Dinner at the Waldorf Astoria, which used to be the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. What do you think about what Mike Carter just said, that this event is a lot more secure than the previous one?
Yeah, look, there's no doubt there were lessons learned from the incident that took place at the Washington Hilton. And this is the new normal in terms of our threat level here in the country, specifically about the threats targeting those in elected office, including the president, up 40%. The Secret Service dealing with 10,000 threats with the access to social media for more people to vent this rhetoric directed at the president and his family. So a more controlled environment, enhanced security, increased technologies. Essentially, the Secret Service is going to have to become much, much faster at evolving to the threats in this dynamic threat environment. This is where we are. This is where we will continue to be. And the Secret Service can anticipate being challenged going forward.
And Jonathan, Secret Service, you just heard Charles talking about it. They're now changing their security protocols. What do you think about the fact that the vice president is not there? It's not as large of a crowd. Mike Carter said you need a lot more layers to security than just kind of flashing a piece of paper with a QR code.
Yeah, it's. I love what Charles is saying there, and the Secret Service is going to have to get ahead of what these bad guys are doing and the evolution of these terrorist type attacks. It's hard for me to even fathom that I have to say that, because that's what the Secret Service is supposed to do. They're supposed to stay ahead of these things. And even now we're embroiled in an issue with one of J.D. Vance's security leaking information about something that he didn't like that the vice president was doing, apparently. I think they need to start focusing on recruiting and eliminating some of these people that aren't qualified for the job, a lot of these mid-level managers, and getting rid of those people so they can get back to the operators like when Charles was there, like we used to be in the Secret Service. It's good to see that they're taking these things seriously, the QR codes and these things, but and also not going back to the Hilton. I think that should be off the charts. If one president shot, another attack happened in that location, just stop with that hotel. So there are things that are being done. That's good. But I just don't trust the Secret Service. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if they are up to the game that the leftists and the terrorists are playing. I'm not sure about that.
Jonathan Gilliam, Charles Marino, we got to leave it right there. Thank you both.
You got it.
Thanks.
And of course, keep it right here. As soon as the president starts to speak, we will bring it to you live. Meantime, the Trump administration cracking down hard on taxpayer-funded college tuition for illegal aliens. Multiple states facing lawsuits. Is this finally the end of the illegal alien gravy train? And again, more live coverage from the White House Correspondents' Dinner next.
At Ancestry, we believe every question about the past is a spark. And when curiosity strikes about the everyday lives of your family, we're here with answers only your ancestors can provide. How is your family woven into 250 years of U.S. history? Find out now at Ancestry.
People always ask me how I stay ready, how I lock in when it actually counts. They think I must be on something. It's pure, it's potent, it's all me. Something that never lets me down. Armra, I'm on it.
Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message, because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. Tax Relief Helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consults are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528. Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. Tax relief helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528.
Now, tirzepatide for weight management is available in a dissolvable tablet. It's not the injection and doesn't offer the same strength or clinical evidence as the injectable form, and results will differ from the injection. But for patients who don't want shots, this tablet option is worth exploring. Understanding results will differ from the injection. Tirzepatide tablets are a prescription that starts with a telehealth evaluation by a licensed physician who reviews your health history. And if it's right for you, they prescribe it. This might be worth a conversation.
Well, not only do illegals get free rent, food, health care, but many also receive financial aid for college paid for by who else? We, the taxpayer. The Trump administration is now, though, suing Colorado, claiming that Americans are being discriminated against because they're not given the same reduced tuition rates for scholarships like illegals. The Department of Justice stating that they will not tolerate American students being treated like second-class citizens in their own country. Now, Colorado is one of at least 10 states facing lawsuits challenging in-state tuition for illegals, including California, Minnesota, Illinois, Virginia, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. Joining us now, Lora Ries, Director of Border Security and Immigration at the Heritage Foundation, along with Scott Mechkowski, former Senior ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations Officer. Laura, let's start with you. When will the money train for illegals finally end?
Oh, well, great question. This is a law that goes back to 1996. Congress passed it and said if a state is going to offer in-state tuition to illegal aliens, they also have to offer in-state tuition to U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents in other states. And think about the insult to injury here. I mean, American college applicants compete to get into schools, including out of state. Why on earth are such precious positions in colleges even given to illegal aliens who aren't supposed to be here? And then you compound that insult by then giving them in-state tuition and making U.S. citizens pay double. It's egregious, and I'm glad the Justice Department is enforcing this.
I know people my age still trying to pay off their school loans. And meanwhile, an illegal, they just get everything, the red carpet rolled out for them. Now, 30 states, including D.C., many of them red states, refusing to hand over their voter rolls, even after the state of New Jersey revealed that 6,600 illegals were registered to vote. I thought they said it was a conspiracy theory, right? Including 400 that did vote. And we know this is just cracking the surface, Scott. It's becoming clearer and clearer that Democrats imported millions of illegals for votes and political power.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I think the people understand that they've been screaming this from the hilltop. And what they want to do is they want to flood the zone. And nothing's going on here. There's nothing to see. And then a report breaks, and then there's blame shifted here and there. Look, they knew this when they created the illegal driver's licenses. They gave these illegal driver's licenses for one reason. It was tied to voter registration, and the state knew it. So coming back later on, and I mean, she's my governor. I mean, like she represents me, and it's like unbelievable. Like she can stand in front of a microphone and then she could blame a contractor, knowing full well this administration, the last administration, 2 terms, understood what they were doing from the very beginning. And it's disgusting.
They knew exactly what they're doing. Lora Ries, Scott Mechkowski, thank you both.
Thank you.
Well, our next guest, Dr. Michael Savage, he has an interesting perspective on whether killer drones should be used in combat. There he is. And we'll have more live coverage from the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Don't go anywhere.
Free yourself from prying eyes. Ask privately with Duck.ai. Visit Duck.ai to chat privately with ChatGPT, Claude, and other AIs for free. All in one place. Duck.ai is from DuckDuckGo, where AI is private and optional.
It's the end of a long day, but your mind's still racing. Meet Super Calm from Nello. PhD formulated with ashwagandha, L-theanine, magnesium glycinate, and vitamin D3 to help support relaxation and healthy cortisol levels. Super Calm from Nello.
Every 8 minutes, a claim of sexual assault is filed against rideshare drivers.
But rideshare companies prohibit both drivers and riders from carrying firearms to protect themselves.
Imagine this banana was a less lethal device capable of incapacitating an attacker in a fraction of a second and allowing you to escape.
At Byrna, we don't sell bananas. Go to Byrna.com to find out how you can always be prepared to defend.
It's 2 a.m., your fever spiked, and you're miserable. Here's your options.
Urgent care, closed. ER, slammed, and you'll spend hundreds of thousands in both. Telehealth, yeah, but the pharmacies are closed.
That's the reason why we keep emergency medical kits at home.
It has doctor-prescribed medication like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other antibiotics and antivirals. You can treat flu, pneumonia, strep, sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
Because if you're sick in at night, traveling or stranded, you don't want options.
You want what is inside this kit. No waiting, no pharmacy, and no copays.
Just schedule a quick telehealth call.
And that's how you feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
Every family should have this kit, and here's how to order yours.
Order online in minutes and use the promo code to save $45. Your doctor-prescribed kit ships fast to your door, packed with medications to treat over 30 conditions. So when something hits, you're ready. And a wellness company telehealth doctor is always there if you need guidance.
With Jackpocket, you can order official state lottery tickets anytime, anywhere. And you can see your ticket on the app. Plus, with new official state scratch-offs available on the app, more of your favorite games are right at your fingertips.
New Jackpocket customers get $10 instantly in lottery credits when you deposit just $5.
What if what you've been told about Israel isn't the whole story? On campus, in podcasts, on social media, even in the church. One question: what does the Bible actually say? In The Israel Deception, Dr. David Herzog uncovers the biblical truth. Read The Israel Deception. Before deception can be defeated, it must first be exposed.
Millions of Americans rely on a statin to reduce cholesterol, but statins can deplete CoQ10 levels. I recommend Cunol CoQ10 with 3 times better absorption and the #1 cardiologist recommended form. It helps replenish what statins deplete. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Welcome back. The United States completing a 13th straight night of strikes on targets across Iran, hitting military command centers, drone storage facilities, and communication networks. Axios reporting Trump is saying he's close to a decision on a massive attack against Iran, seriously considering restarting major combat operations, including even larger strikes. Our next guest argues that killer drones that deliver lethal strikes should be banned in combat because they violate the Geneva Convention and dehumanize war by turning soldiers into mincemeat, leaving nothing to return to families. Dr. Michael Savage joins us, host of Savage Nation. Thank you, sir, so much for joining us. Tell us more about why you feel this way.
Well, Lydia, thank you for having me. No one's talking about the toll of war on humanity itself. Man's inhumanity to man has been forgotten as a subject. I want to be the conscience that says, wait a minute now, it's one thing to defeat the enemy. It's another thing to turn the enemy into mincemeat. So people say, come on, Mike, you want the enemy to win? And I have to remind people that already banned by the Geneva Convention, first created in 1864, by the way, right now banned, of course, are chemical weapons. They don't use sarin gas. Remember when Saddam was said to have used sarin? Well, we say, no, you can't use chemical weapons. No biological weapons. You can't drop viruses and bacteria on populations. So those are banned. You can't kill medical personnel on purpose. That's a no-no, according to the Geneva Convention, for those who say we should have no rules. There are rules. And I am saying that killer drones need to be added to the list of no, no, no. I don't want to spell out, if people want to go on YouTube and see what happens These are attack drones that kill soldiers who could be hiding in a burrow in the ground, running away from the other side. High velocity shrapnel, concussive overpressure blast, direct kinetic impact. It's not like traditional artillery or bombing. Drones actually hunt down the individual and destroy the soldier and make them into mincemeat. The mother doesn't even get back a corpse. And yeah, Ukraine is boasting that they're making these things, killing Russian boys, and Russia's been using them as well. It's not one side or the other. And that's because no one has said, hey, wait a minute now. War is one thing, but this type of warfare is another. You can't kill medical personnel purposely. You can't purposely kill civilian populations. So there are rules in the Geneva Conventions that have been held already. I'm saying, for God's sake, slow down. We shouldn't be using attack drones just because they're lethal and they're wonderful for killing the enemy. These are men, boys being killed, and they never come back, not even with a leg or an arm knocked off. They're turned into fragments. There's nothing left, Lydia.
Right. We have to remember that we're humans, right? There's a level of humanity that is often missing in war. Now, I want you to take a listen to Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaking to reporters when it comes to attacking Iran. Dr. Savage, listen to this.
Please.
You know, guys, I saw Arachi, their foreign minister, who the other day say or something about their policies, an eye for an eye. The president's policy is a head for an eye. I mean, honestly, that's what it's going to be. I mean, they will pay a very heavy price for the things they're doing.
Head for an eye.
For an eye. Okay, well, it's a little post-biblical. I get it. I like Rubio. I think he's turned into a first-class statesman. At this stage, I would absolutely see him as the leader of the next administration if he ran. I know he's not the number one choice by Trump. I read this morning that his choice now is J.D. Vance. That's fine. I think Rubio's fine. I don't like this head for an eye thing. What are we going to hear next? A village for an eye? I don't know what's coming next. Must everything be overkill with this administration? Must everything be a threat that is overbearingly bigger than the other guy? I don't know where we're going. Never mind as a nation, but as a people, Lydia. Can't we just stop for a minute and say, sure, defeat radical Islam, borders, language, culture? But you know, a nation is defined, as I said, by borders, language, and culture. But a nation ultimately is defined by its people. And when the human beings lose their humanity, tell me what's left of the nation.
But you're dealing with a regime that wants to obliterate you and doesn't see you as a human.
Yeah,
so that
that's
is the
right.
crux here.
Well, look at Mamdani. He doesn't see us as human beings.
No.
He sees us as infidels. I've been watching his show. Mamdani, in my mind, is clearly the head of the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States. I've seen this from the beginning. I've done it on YouTube. What is everyone wondering why he's making these statements? It's clear what he is. So what do you do now? How do we deal with people like this who want to wipe us off the planet? That's the question. No resistance to any weapon whatsoever? I say, wait a minute. Defeat the enemy, but preserve our humanity.
God willing, right? I mean, Mamdani refused to say he would even arrest a Hamas terrorist. Dr. Michael Savage, we're in some scary times. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
I'm not scared. I'm angry. It's different.
Nothing scares you. All right.
Thanks, Lydia. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appears to be what Democrats are seeking to lead the country in the future. The bartender from Westchester County, who poses as a gritty Latina from the Bronx, is actually the frontrunner for the Democrat nomination. This, according to a new poll out of New Hampshire. AOC support indicates Trump has driven Democrat voters so mad that they intend to destroy the entire country just to get even. Take a listen to the young women Democrats want to lead the United States and even the world.
We now have a paramilitary force, like we saw in Jim Crow, whether you just point a finger and 100 years ago accuse a little black boy of something, you can point a finger and accuse someone of that today.
What did the Senate majority fight for? One of the largest corporate bailouts with as few strings as possible in American history. Shameful.
We don't have to wait for any one president to impose a wealth tax. I think that it needs to be done expeditiously.
The American Revolution was against the billionaires of their time.
Dick Morris, advisor to President Trump, joins us now. AOC, she can't even keep track of world politics or accents. What do you think about her being the leading Democrat to run for the highest office in the land?
Well, I've always said that when the Democrats lose an election, historically, they move to the left. Should move to the center, but they never do. After Nixon defeated Humphrey, the next candidate was McGovern. After Reagan defeated Carter, the next candidates were Mondale and Dukakis. And I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if AOC wins the Democratic primary.
Wow. I mean, now new polling from Emerson College showing the Democrats with an 11-point advantage over Republicans, leading 53 to 42%. Also showing Trump's approval rating at only 39%. So voters also seem to remain split between Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Vance ahead by a single point. And then you mentioned this before. There's another McLaughlin poll showing Trump's approval rating at 49%. So what do you make of this recent polling, Dick?
Well, McLaughlin is right and Emerson is wrong.
Okay.
McLaughlin is always right. He's been right for years. And he was right in 24. And 49% job approval for Trump is what it's been in McLaughlin's poll every month from the last 10 months. Never been lower than 47, only rarely above 50. And he won the election of 24 with 49.8% of the vote. So it's enough. And the amazing thing, I've never seen this in 50 years of polling. The Trump ratings are solid. They never change. No matter what happens, he never goes down. And I think he's going to win the midterms handily.
Wow.
The 12-point Democratic edge that Emerson sees there, McLaughlin has it at a 2-point Democratic edge. And the way the districts are configured, because there are districts that are 100% Democrat, the black districts, the generic vote always is skewed Democrat, even when the Republicans are going to win the seats. So only a 2-point Democratic edge means a Republican victory.
Right.
And then you have the decision that minority-majority districts are illegal.
Right.
And you have the midterm reapportionment. And that spots Republicans about 20 points, 20 seats extra. And I think that we're going to reelect Collins in Maine.
Okay.
We're going to win all the other seats. And then I think, depending on August 4th, which is the Michigan primary, if El Said wins that primary, I think we could pick up Michigan.
Wow. And you know who else is always right? Not just McLaughlin? Dick Morris. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
All right, the left obsessed with hating on the WNBA. Superstar Caitlin Clark, the latest attack, claims her complaints to referees about missed foul calls have become dangerous for the league's black players. That's next in News from the Left.
My dad had never been in better shape. Then he had a stroke and passed away. But he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still taking care of us. Ethos.com, 10 minutes. 100% online.
Check your price today at ethos.com.
Hey, I'm Dr. Drupinski. I've been looking at the aging process for a long time. Fatty 15 actually slows it down. Fatty 15 comes out of Navy dolphin research. Without the C15, our cells become fragile and age and oxidize. This pushes that back. That's why I take Fatty 15.
You're careful about what you bring home when shopping, especially when it comes to feeding your family. Shouldn't your investments work the same way? At Timothy Plan, we offer a wide selection of mutual funds and ETFs that can help you allocate assets without compromising your values. From technology to healthcare, energy to real estate, our funds are not only diverse but uncompromising to your values. Timothy Plan funds are filtered to avoid companies involved in abortion, pornography, human trafficking, and other harmful agendas. What you invest in should reflect what you stand for. Are your investments bearing good fruit? What's in your portfolio? Contact your financial advisor today to find out, or contact Timothy Plan directly at 1-800-TIM-PLAN to discover more. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Xeno Organic Super Greens can help fill nutrition gaps and support gut health. With 5 grams of fiber, pre- and probiotics, 70 organic superfoods, and 0 sugar. Xena, the #1 organic super greens.
Clients who rolled over their IRAs 2 or 3 years ago have doubled and tripled their retirement accounts. Billionaire Eric Sprott disclosed he has invested 98% of his $3 billion fortune into gold and silver, and said gold's going to $10,000 an ounce. Vanguard and Goldman warned of a lost decade ahead for stocks. Gold's role isn't to make you rich, it's to help you survive what's coming. Aren't these supposed to be your golden years? Call Patriot Gold Group at 1-800-778-4156. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer nationwide. Home of the America 250 no fee for life IRA. Call now and see how easy it is to protect your IRA with physical gold and silver. Call now, 1-800-778-4156.
Pain kept slowing me down. Then I tried new KT Menthol pain relief patches. Unlike other patches that only mask pain, KT increases blood flow to help accelerate healing. So don't give up. Tape up. New KT Menthol pain relief patches.
Time now for news from the left. WNBA superstar Caitlin Clark, she is now the face of women's basketball. The only reason that the league is relevant. I mean, her season dominated by headlines of her getting beat up by jealous players on opposing teams. But her latest attack now coming from a USA Today column, arguing that Clark's complaints to referees about missed foul calls have become dangerous for the league's black players. The piece linking the lynching of a 14-year-old black boy, Emmett Till, in the 50s to Clark's on-court behavior. Sports columnist Nancy Armour writing, Indiana Fever all-star Caitlin Clark and her enablers must take the rest of us for idiots, adding, it shouldn't need reminding that this country has an awful history of black people being harmed, even killed, in the name of defending white women. Armour expanding her thoughts, saying, it seems there is a white nationalist faction to Clark's fandom that is deeply, deeply problematic, made even more so because the WNBA is made up of predominantly of black women, many of them queer. Wow. Brittany Hughes of MRC Video joins us now. Brittany, this, as somebody who played basketball since 3rd grade, this is infuriating. And I love Sophie Cunningham, you know, the points. And they should be thanking these women for putting the WNBA on the map. Instead, look at the ridiculous attacks physically and also, metaphorically coming Clark's way.
You're exactly right, Lydia. The way that Caitlin Clark has been treated since coming to the WNBA just a couple of short years ago has been absolutely egregious. She is the only thing about the WNBA that works. She's the only reason that anybody is even watching it. And the minute she hit the court, immediately we had a whole bunch of black female players, many of them lesbians, who were upset because they were saying that, well, they don't get paid as much as her, and they were the ones that created this sport, and they're the reason that it exists to this day. They're jealous. They're blatantly jealous. And how many times have we had to see this young woman get thrown around? She's had an elbow put into her throat, and now all she's saying is, look, she just wants to play the game. Right? When there are obvious fouls against her, she just wants those fouls to be called fairly. Now, you can agree or disagree on whether or not something was or was not a foul, but you cannot disagree, or at least anybody with eyes shouldn't be able to say that this woman has not been clearly targeted because she is white, because she is straight, and because you have a bunch of black players who are jealous of her. And I will say this too about Caitlin Clark. Every time something like this happens, she comes out and clearly tries to take the high road, but she says, look, race shouldn't be a part of this narrative. She comes out and she condemns racism. She's absolutely terrified of being called a racist herself. Her coach comes out and condemns racism. But look, at the end of the day, she might not have a race-based bone to pick with these people, but they sure as heck have one to pick with her. And to compare her wanting fouls called fairly to threats against, like Emmett Till, who was beaten so severely that his face was disfigured, is insane.
It really is insane, and how they can flip the script, right? The media, the narrative. Speaking of flipping the script, Hunter Biden, he was on Sour Don Lemon's podcast, trying to remain relevant, the both of them losers, trash-talking CNN's Jake Tapper for writing a book about his dad's disastrous re-election campaign in 2024. Listen to this.
I think that Jake is a complete and utter. I think that he is a really poor journalist, and beyond that, I don't think he's a very decent human being. I think he's full of. That's what I think.
You know, Hunter also recently said that there's a gay mafia that's in control of D.C. Did you hear that? And Don Lemon thinks he can become the next president of the United States. He says people come up to him all the time saying he should run. Are these two of the most delusional people you've ever seen in your life at this point?
Well, I mean, delusional is a kind way of putting it. Has Hunter Biden ever been able to get through a single sentence in his life without just spewing rampant profanity? And look, you're going to make me defend Jake Tapper here. You know, this is unreal. I mean, Jake Tapper, this is what's unreal about this. Jake Tapper came out and wrote this book about Joe Biden and his cognitive decline, which everybody had been able to see for months, if not years, before Jake Tapper and at least some in the left-wing media finally started admitting it, right? So the fact that Jake Tapper didn't even come out and say any of this until after the Biden presidency, that's what's egregious. Hunter Biden has absolutely no business coming after Jake Tapper for saying what everybody already knew. And he didn't even make an argument, by the way. You notice that he didn't say, oh, yeah, my dad's mental health is absolutely fantastic. He's in great shape, sharp as a tack, all the things that they were saying during his presidency when he was supposedly running the country, right, that we were supposed to believe. Hunter Biden didn't come out and make any kind of argument. All he did was throw around pejoratives. So I mean, who even listens to that nonsense? This is crazy.
Right. I mean, we have eyes, ears, and a brain. Yeah, we clearly saw that his dad wasn't all right. And speaking of people that maybe got hit once too many times in the head, actor Alan Ritchson. Now, he's a star of the Amazon Prime show Reacher, which I'm a fan of. I actually watched the show, accusing President Trump, though, of concealing the Epstein files while saying he's all up into 13-year-olds. Watch this.
Where are they? It's a f***ing law. Show it, you pedophiles. I would get those Epstein files out in 2 seconds. Don't you want to see what's in there so that we can hold people accountable? These f***ing rapists? We're just cool with it? That has the keys to the nuclear. He's like all up into 13-year-olds. Like, dude, what? Go to jail. Go to.
Do you think the roids got to him, or what happened?
I don't know. It is awfully rich coming from somebody in Hollywood talking about pedophiles being kept under wraps. I mean, there are more than a few skeletons in Hollywood closets if you want to talk about people that have preyed on children. But here's the other thing I'd like to know. I want to know when the defamation lawsuits start, right? Because we have seen multiple leftists, including Democrat politicians, who have gone on podcasts. They have gone on major news networks and have openly stated as though it is gospel that Donald Trump is a pedophile that sexually abused children. There is zero evidence of that. He has never been credibly accused of that, much less charged with that, convicted of that. The Biden administration had the Epstein files. If Donald Trump had been abusing children, do you not think that the Biden administration would have been all over that? There's no evidence of that we have been presented with. So to come out and to continue to say this like it is fact, as far as I'm concerned, is just flat out slander.
I know Trump was the first one to actually ban Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. He was the first guy to call him out. Brittany Hughes, we got to leave it right there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lydia.
All right, keep it right here. We are moments away from President Trump flaming the press. We'll bring it to you live. Keep it right here.
When you're in the news business, it never stops. News is always breaking, and it's my job to get you the news, no spin, no BS. If you don't believe us, just watch us.
Watch Finnerty, weeknights, only on Newsmax.
When curiosity strikes about the everyday lives of your family, we're here with answers only your ancestors can provide. See their stories at Ancestry.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
Where's the admission desk at your hospital? You may need it sooner than you think. It's the middle of the night, and you, your spouse, or your child is sick, high fever, can't keep anything down, and getting worse. Now you're waiting in the ER, and everyone gets seen before you. And when I finally see you and order prescriptions, you still have to wait for your pharmacy to open and hope they have what I prescribed. This is the medical emergency kit. It's stocked with essential medications, including amoxicillin, generic Z-Pak, and ivermectin. Now you have the right medications when you need them. And it's why I and so many of my colleagues have medical emergency kits. It's like having an urgent care and pharmacy in your home. Just fill out a brief online medical intake and your kit, prescribed by a licensed provider, is shipped to your door. Here's how to order.
Order your kit now and save $45. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news. That's urgentcarekit.com/news.
Almost half of women runners say safety is their biggest concern. Majority of us have to constantly change routes, start times.
Instead of thinking of my pace, we worry about being followed, unwanted attention, and stuff that is simply scary.
Imagine this banana was a less lethal device, capable of incapacitating an attacker, letting you get to safety. At Byrna, we don't sell bananas. Go to Byrna.com to find how you can always safely make it to the finish line.
Ever worry that you're drinking too much? Take back control with Or Health. Or Health provides access to medication proven to help. A daily pill to drink less, or to quit drinking altogether. Text Newsmax to 710-710 to learn more.
People always ask me how I stay ready, how I stay consistent, how I lock in when it actually counts, again and again. It's the work you do before anyone's watching. They think I must be on something. Maybe. It's pure, it's potent, it's all me. Something that never lets me down. Armra. I'm on it.
How easy is it to order lottery tickets with Jackpocket? Step 1, grab your phone. Step 2, download Jackpocket and order tickets for your favorite state lottery games. Step 3, let the good times roll.
New Jackpocket customers get $10 instantly in lottery credits when you deposit just $5.
Finally tonight, the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner happening right now. You're taking a live look right there. President Trump will be delivering remarks. And, of course, Newsmax will bring it to you live. Again, I'm Lidia Curanaj. Rob will be back. Trust and remember, God is with you in all ways. Always. Finnerty's up next. And, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. You have been to the White House Correspondents' Dinner before. How was it?
I bet not good. It's, they call it Nerd Prom. I was invited tonight. I'm not going to go to D.C. on a Friday. Look, Lydia, somebody's got to work. Somebody's got to be here for the people, and I'm that guy, okay? But also, they call it Nerd Prom for a reason, and these people are all so secretly excited that they get to do this twice and get their hair done and makeup and get dressed up and get pictures taken for the second time in 3 months. No, it's a terrible event, although I am excited to see. It honestly is. I say that objectively, but I am excited to see the president
Tell us
speak.
how you really feel.
That is how, by the way, enjoyed you tonight. I was watching in the green room.
You.
Lydia, we'll see you in a little bit. Finnerty starts right now.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.